Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? It's Pip Surfer with another daily update for the Cowabunga system. Today's Wednesday, September 9th, 2009. Hope you all have had a great day. I'm just going to go ahead and get into today's update because we don't have much time to waste. First, I want to take a look at some comments, and I've just kind of pre-read these just to save some time and paraphrase them. First comment just wants to know whether or not they can use an EMA 48 to determine the trend and eliminating the 4-hour chart. You can really use whatever you want to determine the trend. However, that is at your own discretion. The system, remember, has been tested with these exact settings, so you may get different results if you are using something else other than what the system requires. So be sure to just test it, back test it, forward test it, do all the proper researching and work before you actually go live with it, because you don't want to just make a change as a knee-jerk reaction to taking a loss. That's the worst thing you can do. So make sure you test any kind of theory that you may have, and anything can work. It's just all on how you use it, and that's pretty much it. So that's all I can say, is that that may work for you. Just be sure to test it. Next comment wants to know about time zone on the calendar. I believe if you're in London, you just set it to GMT. I think you might be +1 right now. It might be +1 and then 0, so I'm not really sure, but you might want to check on that. I wish I could give you a better answer, but I'm not really in London, so I don't have to mess with that. And I'm not sure again about the default, about getting that to default on baby pips. I'll have to see and check with the developers of the site. So I'll check with you and find out. And finally, the last comment has to do with reward to risk ratio. Questioning wants to know, more often than not, you want to have a higher reward to risk ratio. However, with the Cowabunga system, you'll find that a lot of times our trades are below that. And the reason being is because we have a high win percentage with the system, and because of the high win percentage, you can afford to be under a 1 reward to risk ratio. Now, if your system won less than 50%, then you would want, it would be very important actually for you to have a reward to risk ratio higher than 1. And the higher that number is, the better. But again, it's just kind of a gauge for you. It doesn't really have to be, it's not a hard set rule that it has to be over 1 or over 2 or whatever. But it does help you gauge the profitability of a system. And with the Cowabunga system, even though our reward to risk ratio is below 1, since we win more than 50% of the time, it offsets that, and we're okay with it. So hope that answers your questions. Again, thank you for the comments. And now I'm just going to go ahead and get into our 4-hour chart of the cable, and I'm going to move it back to before midnight. We had that big bullish move yesterday, and it formed a new trend change candle. And starting the day off, the trend still remained up. And if I move forward through today's action, you can see that the trend remained up. We actually got more bullish movement today. So today we only looked for long trades. The trend remained up our entire trading session. So now I'm going to move back my chart, my 15-minute chart, to before midnight, so you can see what it looked like. And before we start trading, first thing we want to do is take a look at our news. And if you've been watching these updates, you'll notice that there's a routine that I go through every time, and that's really what you got to do, is just make a routine. Really, there wasn't much news to watch out for today. Again, we had the sterling at 4:30. That was the trade balance. And then we didn't have news until later in the afternoon with the beige book for the dollar. So other than those two things, there wasn't really anything major going on. So you could just jot those times: 4:30 Eastern, 4:30 a.m. Eastern time, and 2 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, and I'm sorry, there was a comment on the blog that asked about which news events I go for. Basically, any news events that affect the sterling or the dollar, that are either have like an orange flag and definitely a red flag. You want to be careful of those. But sometimes, just by going through it, after a while, you'll start to realize which ones are more important than others, and you'll kind of just have a feel for it. But I'll try to post the ones that I'll be watching on the updates so that you can just kind of use that as your reference. Alright, so now that I have the news for the day, I can start trading. I'm only looking for long trades, remember, so now I'm just going to move my chart forward one candle at a time. Okay, very flat movement in the beginning, and here if I zoom up my chart a little bit, you can see that I did have a crossover early in the session at 1:15 a.m. and my RSI is above 50, stochastics trending up, and MACD was negative and gaining value. This makes this a valid entry. Now you want to enter at the close of the candle, which is 65.22. You can enter as close as possible to it. You might not get in right at that price, but 65.22 is the general entry. Our stop's going to be at the most recent swing low at 65.01, and our nearest 0 or 50 level is right here at 65.50. Alright, so we're not near any news events, not until 4:30, so I can just let this trade ride out. You can see that at 2 a.m. our target was hit. Price did spike up, but it moved down and causing us to get out of our trade. What you want to do here is when your target is hit, you want to just kind of zoom into a smaller time frame and look at the momentum and judge whether or not the momentum's in your favor. Here, when you start to see the price go south, you can go ahead and take your profit. I managed to exit at 65.45, so not quite at 65.50, but close enough. And so you just chalk that up as a win, and you continue to move forward just like any other trade. Alright, see some retracement here to the downside. There's our 4:30 candle, and here we get another crossover at 5:30. RSI is just above 50. Stochastics are trending up, and MACD has gone from negative to positive. This makes this another valid entry. Now our entry is at the close of the candle at 64.98. Our stop is at the most recent swing low at 64.54. Now since we're at 98, the nearest zero level is at 6,500. That's not much of a profit. So what we're going to do here is go for the same amount of pips we're risking. So to do that, we just take our entry at 64.98, subtract it from our stop at 64.54, and we get 44 pips. That's how much we're risking on the trade. So now you're just going to add that to your entry at 64.98, and you get a target at 65.42. Okay? Again, we're not near any news event, so we can just move forward and let the trade ride. Okay, here we almost get our target hit, and finally at 8:30 our target is hit. Again, price doesn't make a clean break, so you just want to exit as close as you can to that target. I didn't get out at 65.42, but I did get out at 65.35. So close enough. It's still a win, and you just want to chalk that up in your books and continue to move forward. Remember, only looking for long trades. Alright, and here is 12 noon, and that ends my trading session, and that's pretty much it. So we had two trades, two winners. Again, it's pretty clear cut. Remember, just the target levels, those aren't hard set targets. You just use those as kind of reference points where you start looking at your trade and then look at momentum to see whether or not you should move your stop and go for more pips or go ahead and take your final profit. And again, you won't get out or get in the market at the exact prices unless you're super fast, but that just comes with practice, and you'll get in closer and closer as you continue to trade the system. So that's pretty much it. Again, feel free to ask questions on the blog or in the forums. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. But that's it for today's update. I will see you all tomorrow. Cowabunga, dudes.